Hello, and welcome to Scuttlebutt, the War Movie Review Podcast. We're happy to have you with us as we take a look at films from the dawn of cinema to today. We aim to provide a raw and unapologetic review of each film's cinematography, historical accuracy, and delivery. In the process of analysis, certain details will be revealed. These spoilers are only divulged to ensure a fair assessment of each film.
Merry Christmas. We head back to the South Pacific this week with Nagisa Oshima's 1983 Second World War epic, Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence. As always, I'm joined by Mike A,
Yes.
Mike B,
Yes, sir.
and Nate.
Father Christmas. I can't do the mouth thing that Michael did earlier. I can't do that.
If I had some sake, I could probably do an even better impression.
Sake.
Hold on, I'll go
Sake.
get some. Hold on, I'll go get some.
Oh,
I
God.
actually thought about that. I have plum sake upstairs.
Sake.
I really wanted the sake.
Sake. Okay. Sake. That's how it's pronounced?
Sake.
Sake.
Yes.
All right.
Love sake. Anyway, so what'd you guys think?
At least I don't say sake. You know, I've heard some people
Oh.
say one.
Okay,
It's
James.
it's a sake glass.
Pass me over that sake.
Yeah.
Ugh,
That done sake glass. Yeah, hey.
I hate that. I hate all of that right now.
Ain't got nothing on you.
So what'd you guys
Some
think?
bitch.
Some of
And what's the start? First impressions.
Mishaed.
I always start first. I never seen it before. It was okay. It was all right. It's always interesting seeing David Bowie. He actually does have a pretty prolific film career. He has been in quite a few things. Not too bad. Interesting to see this perspective. A lot of emphasis on the Japanese perspective, which is a bit different. So that's kind of cool. I think this was half British, half Japanese film or something. Makes sense there, but a little long. But other than that, is all right. Not too bad. Nate,
No.
I don't want to talk
Um,
about the movie.
I mean, it's. This was. I can see why people like this movie. The same way Brian likes, Come and See. I think it's like, the face he made.
Excuse me.
Nope.
Brian's face. Anyway, but like again, like I think it's. I think it's very interesting in its approach, in its ability to try to launch a subject that I think by 1983,
Mhm.
that I don't think was really kind of touched on in cinema in that per se. Because my saturation of prisoner of war camps, specifically Japanese prisoner of war camps, is what's that Keith Sutherland movie? With that guy from 28 Days Later.
I don't know. It's not ringing any bells.
Oh shit, what's it called? Tears Under the Sun or something like that. Maybe I don't know.
No.
Anyway,
The fuck are you talking about?
there's a Japanese camp with the guy from Braveheart, and he's the guy from 28 Days Later, and Keith Sutherland, and a couple other, and the guy, oh god, the guy from Kingsman. Anyway, long adjutant rant, doesn't matter. The point is that I've seen other war films similar to that kind of setting, and so I had to like go, okay, like try to make it so I haven't seen a movie like this before. And it's definitely interesting, but the crazy kind of 1980s disjointed scenarios and things and acting, it's just a little too much for my personal taste. But I think the only thing I actually really liked was the dynamic between the sergeant and Mr. Lawrence, which I think are the only two characters that really have a lot of depth and chemistry. Maybe a little bit of but I actually didn't get. I actually feel like I am so scatterbrained tonight. Who's the fucking main guy? What's his name?
David
What's
Bowie?
Thank you.
No, he's not the main guy.
He's not.
I know, but like attention.
Major
I mean, like
Canes?
that's like I'm just saying like David Bowie, even though he's more the predominant like actor of that thing, it's like I don't really gravitate towards that. I find the chemistry between the sergeant and Mr. Lawrence a whole lot more compelling and interesting. So that all in all, though, to keep it short, it's just a 1980s film, and it was a slog of 2 hours. So that's my opening thing on that. Brian, since you gave me that face.
Well, I mean, the come and see in this film do share the fact they're both art house movies. This is an art house Christmas film, and I watched it and it ended, and I was like, "What the fuck did I just watch?" I really felt like there was a user manual that didn't make its way to me.
That's a good way of putting
And
it.
it put me on a path of like, what the fuck did I just watch? And I did a ton of research on the film, and now I understand it. But a film shouldn't have to come with a 45-page like manual. Like, there's again, we keep saying on this podcast that like, you're not always the audience for these films. And this film definitely was made for Japanese people. Because the guy that made this film, it's actually very interesting. He was a part of this like group of directors in Japan that were like the new wave of directors. And this like revolution happened in 1958 where like basically the Japanese film industry was very like regimented. And overnight they basically turned all these director apprentices into full directors. So like all these young kids all of a sudden could make movies. And they changed the whole narrative of Japanese cinema. So this guy was known for making films that just attacked Japanese culture. And the film he's most famous for is what he made before this, 1976, is about this couple in 1930s Japan that's so in love and hates Japanese or the culture so much is that they fuck to death and they strangle themselves while they're fucking.
Wow.
What the absolute? Sorry, that caught me so off guard.
So he was trying to find something to question Japanese culture and tradition in ways, but through a different lens. And this is how he's able to do it through, a POW camp in the Second World War. So it's really a, attack on his own culture and why things are like this. Like there's a bunch of lines in the movie like that, where it's like, well, a crime has been committed and someone has to be punished. It doesn't matter who is punished, but that's the way it is. And that's a very, Japanese thing. So understanding that, I'm like, okay, it makes sense. And we'll get more into that later on. But just to sum it up, like I really felt like this was a very long 3-minute 1980s music video. Like, literally, like I was trying to think of it. It reminded me of a New Order song called, what do you call it? Not Bizarre Love Triangle, but it's I gotta look it up. But there's literally like when they have the kiss, and it's like that slow like shot. I literally was taken to like a New Order 1980s music video. I'm like, what's going on?
With that like jumpy frame rate and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's Bizarre Love Triangle, but they're slapping in the music video and the camera's going back and forth. And it's literally like, I don't know. Yeah, it's interesting. David Bowie's really good. I have to say that. And he was in a bunch of other roles, like you said. And when he has his mean face at certain points in it, I was like, wow, he does have a side to him where he could, actually like look good on camera. The other guy, the Lieutenant Yoni or Yunai, he was actually another musician. He's very famous. He was in a Japanese group called the Magic Yellow Orchestra, which don't play into that because they're Japanese guys. But anyway, it's very fascinating electric band in the 70s.
You made that connection.
I didn't even think of that, but that's great.
But it's funnily enough, I now love the band and I've listened to all their 70s and 80s hits, and it's way better than the movie. So it did something good at the end. But it's a very strange film, and I don't want to have a user manual to fucking understand shit. So
I heard you on my wireless back in 52. Lying awake in Tintin, tuning on you.
Video killed the radio, sir.
There we go.
Yeah.
Okay.
First song they played on MTV when it went live.
Yep.
Correct. Yep, and it was very true. So, okay, this film, I started like the first half of it. I was like, all right, we're good. And then you introduced David Bowie's character, Celis or Seal.
What
the-
Sealers or something.
Saliers, I think.
Yeah, whatever. We'll just call him S from here on out. So S. I'm like, okay, this is okay. Like, all right, Japanese prisoner war camp. This is very early. This is 42. So it's like, yeah, these guys. It's either you're going to be completely fucked, or you get Japanese guys that are abiding by a code, which these guys are, right? And okay, so, but all of a sudden his character gets introduced, S, and it's like, oh, this big thing of, oh, this guy, but there's nothing that comes of it. His character, nothing. He's just sitting there laying down. Oh, he doesn't ever do anything. And then again, he ends up in the lime, like the whole thing buried up to his fucking neck. What the fuck? Like, okay, we get it. Like, it's a prison camp. We get it. There's things that go down. Yeah, it's not good for anyone there. And this guy gets thrown into the mix of like, oh, he's gonna be the guy that stirs everything up. Nothing changes. What the fuck is the point? It's like, oh, David Bowie. Oh, yeah. He's gonna be in here doing this stuff. He's gonna like change the film. No, he doesn't. That character was literally null and void the whole fucking time. And so for the first half, it was like, okay, yeah, the prison camp. Right, we see that. And then we get like the court. I did like the court, like the proceedings, right? That would go through them and all that stuff. But it was like after the halfway point, it's like, what the fuck are we doing here? Like, what are we doing? Like, okay, yeah, these guys are gonna die or these guys will be alive. It's stupid. Yeah, so that's like, I'm also like Nate, I'm on board with you. Like, I'm very scatterbrained and like I cannot like fucking I cannot like formulate a one subject to drive this point forward. But like,
Is it because David Bowie kissed you and you just freaked out and flew back? Because yeah.
So mad he collapses.
what the fuck?
I remember
I
it was the last day of filming at Reveille, and Michael just walked up to Mike, brushed off his sleeve, and then kissed him.
Just kissed me on the cheeks.
He cheeked
I'm like,
you,
and then I was done.
It's like those old 1950s commercials where like something touches and they go
Well, that was in this film too. Like, it's fucking stupid. So yeah. All right, I'm kind of sort of back here, but like, what the fuck are we doing? Like, from the halfway point on, what are we doing? Like, Jesus Christ. It was not like, honestly, the first part, this is not like, giving anything away or anything. Like, I was intrigued and I was like, okay, cool. Oh, wow. Yep. That kind of shit, whatever. And then when David Bowie's character gets introduced, I'm like, all right. And then nothing. So what the fuck was it about? And then I'll launch that into our discussion about the film in general.
I think this is where Brian's owner's manual comes into play here.
Page 1. Why? No, it's
That's the name of the chapter.
So, getting into it, there's so much symbolism in this movie. Like, for example, when David Bowie, is in his sandpit and they cut the lock of hair off of him, which is a very Japanese thing.
Nice wig, by the way. You can't cut David Bowie's hair. You have to put a wig on him.
Oh, he's not going to allow that shit. No.
Yeah.
It's a very Japanese thing, like cutting locks of hair off and stuff to be preserved for in the future or whatever. But he has the butterfly on his fucking face in like the clear blue light. Butterflies are the symbol for the soul in Japanese culture.
So we should get Crazy Town in here, is what you're saying.
Well, I'm just saying that scene, if you know what it means, says that he's dead, But how the fuck
Yeah.
am I supposed to know this bug on his face is like that's again? It's like a movie that's attacking their own culture for Japanese people.
Right.
And
Right.
and again, he needed a lens to show it. And the thing is, it's like it's so what's the right term here? It's so of an abstract idea of what this film's trying to do that if you just come into this movie as it's a World War II movie for face value, what the fuck is going on? You know, it's like all the symbolism is so tied together and like you literally have to know it. And it's
Well, I
like,
don't even think it's if it's going into it with a World War II thing. It's like again, anybody would watch this going, "What the fuck is going on?"
like, yeah, watching it without
Like
any of
surface
my
level. Yeah.
yeah, watching it surface level. This is what I get. Japanese POW camps made everyone gay, and
yeah,
then
we gotta talk about that.
if you're lucky,
No.
if you're really lucky,
he's onto something.
if you're really lucky, your guard that has been you have to respect somehow because the culture's fucked up. Like
breaks in and fucks you,
gets
in the
drunk.
ass.
Well, not that, but like decides to get drunk on a whim and save you. And it's like if you look at it just for what happens, like connecting the dots, it's like these guys got out of this horrible situation somehow, and now the camp guards don't know why they're being put to death. Like you fucking murdered David Bowie. Like you did all these things. Like I have not seen a Christmas movie with this much suicide in it ever.
Yeah.
Like, so, but just looking at it like that, it's like POW camps, and then you have a bad time. It's like what's going on? But with all the symbolism and stuff like that was put into it, and when you realize that the English characters are being used to question the motives of Japanese culture.
Right.
Okay.
There you go. Yeah.
They're plot devices, and they're really good plot devices because they're famous, you know.
But
except
it's fucking retarded.
except for Lawrence. I watched a really funny review, and like everybody knows Major Lawrence from when he was the stepfather in Make Big Fat Greek Wedding 3. And they go to a clip, and that's his next credit. It's Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence, and he's like gray man walking in someone in the back of Mike.
Ach du Scheiße.
It's like
He's also Einstein in Oppenheimer.
What?
the old guy. No,
That's how I recognized him. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
No.
Mr. Lawrence is Einstein from Oppenheimer.
Wow.
100%.
I'll have to look
That's
that
how I knew. I recognized him the moment he came on screen. I went,
I'll
oh,
have
that's
to look that
Einstein from Oppenheimer.
This whole pod is fucked.
Holy fuck! You're right. This is. Oh my god.
Yeah. Yeah, it's 100% him. Yeah,
Top
I saw it
content.
right away. Yeah.
Merry Christmas,
Wow.
Mr. Lawrence. Derailed. Rubin, and Oppenheimer. That's a career.
I'll also blow your minds here. Since we're not a casting thing.
No, we're not going to blow mine.
No. This is important.
I don't want to. Are you a Japanese POW guard? Don't blow me.
This is important. This is important. The sergeant is, for those
A comedian?
who know this, well, yes, but he's also the Takashi's Castle, which is the
Oh my
Spike
God!
show.
MXC.
Wait,
MXC.
do you know MXC, Michael?
Of course I know MXC.
I love
I
MXC.
love MXC. That is him. Oh my god. Holy
Yeah.
shit.
It's the same guy.
That is
Yeah,
him.
because he has an acting career before Takashi's Castle, and then Takashi's Castle, and then he's in Ghost in the Shell and all
So
that
he's
other
the guy
stuff
hitting
now.
Kenny Blankenship in the head all the time,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I fucking
was-
love
that-
MXC.
Guy Ledouche.
Yeah,
Fucking
Guy
such a good
Ledouche,
show.
yeah. Kenny Blankenship and Vic Romano, yeah.
Well, let's go. For those of you that have never heard of MXC, it's
Mike
amazing.
clearly hasn't.
Have you
Correct,
Have
I'm
you
not
seen MXC? Oh, come on, dude. All right, I got some
Dude,
clips.
the
to send- I
Japanese
got some
fucking
clips to send you.
retribution from Hiroshima and Nagasaki has not affected me as much as it has you fuckers.
Well,
So-
there's-
my grandfather would never buy a Jap car. Okay. Yeah.
it's more. There's more to it than that.
Hold on. Hold on. Before you cast judgment, I will send you a clip. It's not what you
Yeah,
think.
It's
I'll just say
some of the
more to
funniest
it.
television you'll ever
It's
see.
not what I think.
No, it's
amazing.
not what you think. I promise you, it's not
It's
what you think.
very unique, yeah.
Take a 19. Have you seen the making of? There's a great one of the DVDs that
Yeah,
how
where they
make
just
it.
stand in the room and do
Well, the-
commentary.
No,
Dude,
I have
it's
not
like-
seen the making of this shit that I don't know about.
It's
Of
like
course not.
We're having a moment
it's just
right now.
as good or better than Trailer Park Boys, in my opinion.
It's
MXC.
fucking
is so
Oh.
good. It's so
Oh.
good.
Mike,
So good.
It's
yeah.
It's an old. I'll just say this. It's an old. This happened in the mid 2000s. These guys on Spike TV made a show, and they did what you think. You think it was what it is, but it's not. It's a show that was made in the 1980s Japanese game show, and then in the early 2000s, these guys dubbed it all and re-put it back on live TV, and it's like
It's so funny.
it's like the early form of like the Comedy Central era of the early 2000s kind of
It's
stuff.
great.
That was on Spike TV. Anyway,
It's like what you
Well, shut
watched
up.
before Girls Gone Wild came on, like
'Cause-
9:30.
yeah,
There was one time. This was during film school. We were all just hanging out late at night. We were like, remember MXC? And every one of us were just like, oh my god, I haven't thought about that in years. We watched like 6 hours of it after that.
Yeah, you can watch a lot of them
Yeah.
now. Yeah. Fuck.
Mike's gonna implode. He's gonna be like, "Why did I watch this movie?" If you guys are gonna
We need
talk
at
about
least an hour of MXC chili next time I hang out. It's so fucking good.
because nothing makes Mike want to watch it more than peer pressuring him into something that everyone likes, because that's what Mike is.
That's Mike to a T.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No. Not definitely not laughing.
Yeah.
Definitely
So
not
then,
laughing.
to
Yeah.
bring this back into it, then that means that if we're all in the POW camp becoming gay, then Mike's not going to get pressured into becoming gay.
Right.
So
You cannot fuck other men unless I authorize it.
Mike be the cooler king, okay? You know.
That's it. That's the way it goes.
Anyway,
Kenny Christmas.
Oh, good luck editing this fucking
oh
bitch.
Jesus Christ!
Well, it's like I remember watching the Polar Express, and when Tom Hanks' character commits seppuku because the train goes off the rails, I mean,
Seppuku.
it really adds to the narrative of the film. Yeah,
oh my God.
the waiter the hot chocolate guy walks over with the samurai sword. You know, you let it get cold. Fuck you. Like,
He fucks it up. That's why.
To actually get us back on subject on this fucking movie,
Yeah.
I did think it was very interesting to showcase a botched Harry Carey. I was gonna like what's the face for? How do you pronounce it?
It's
that? 'Cause
seppuku.
you're gonna- Isn't it Harry Carey or something like
It's
that?
both.
Harakiri, yeah, it's like that. That's the act in itself.
Yeah.
Seppuku is like the method of
You commit
Okay.
seppuku, but Harry carries the act of.
dude.
Oh,
Yeah, Harakiri is like the fucking whole thing, like the ceremony, right?
Mhm. They chopped their head off. Yeah.
Remember when Sean did that at Combat Camera? You know, they just take the wood
Sean,
line and
Bless his heart. Bless his heart.
Rest in peace.
yeah,
Yeah, bless his heart.
yeah.
He really went all out. He really went all out for that. And but no, so yeah, the botched one. Oh my god. Okay, imagine this. Like seriously, like this is gonna get graphic for those who are listening. You have
'Cause it's not graphic already.
Yeah.
Well, Nate's his little.
It's gonna be a chore. It's gonna be a chore. It'll be all right.
But no, so seriously, like, seppuku is you go into the left side of your abdomen and then you pull over to the right. Okay. While you're alive, my God,
Yeah. Holy fuck.
everything's gonna be like, oh my God, it's just gonna not only the pain, but it's like just everything in your body is gonna be like, no, don't do this. Don't do this. And
Well, I think it's in, over, and up. It's supposed to cut up into your diaphragm, and that's when they cut your head
yeah,
off.
well, it's in over.
You gotta turn the
and then-
knife. That's
yeah,
the thing.
it's like just making it a mortal wound, and then
I think you're supposed to go to an angle too. You
most
go
of the time we've got guys like they did show in this film with a katana ready for when like something doesn't go right or like you can't do it, and they just go and you're decapitated. Done ski.
Wasn't it The Last Samurai that had a really good depiction of it?
A very brief. But
Yeah, but I think
It was very brief. Yeah.
Yeah, because at the ends of Letters from Iwo Jima, there's, I think, Kobayashi tries to do it as well.
Mm.
yes.
They depict it at the end of
Yeah.
Hacksaw Ridge, I remember.
Okay, I don't,
But it was very. But heck,
Oh,
that was
it was
such
bad.
I can't
yeah,
remember.
It was stupid.
a bad, horrible. Yeah.
I just remember today. I'm like, I remember it being done respectfully in the Last Samurai, or for that. I think it was the first attack. Like, it didn't go well.
I
on the
think.
guy.
Well, yeah. No, it's the general. It's the general who's helping Tom Cruise in the beginning.
Yeah.
He-
Yep.
yeah.
It's when the cavalry
trying to-
sergeant dies.
Does anyone know the rating for Last Samurai? I'm trying to find it. I can't seem to find it.
Ours?
Wasn't it PG-13 or?
Oh, I don't know.
I think it was PG-13. That would explain why it's so brief.
I
Anyway.
don't remember that being too violent, so I think it was.
Well, at the end, it was pretty.
Oh no, it was R.
That ghost face.
Yeah, it at the end, there was a lot of violence, like intricate violence. Yeah.
There was not sex and nudity.
Intricate violence. That's a
Well,
great
it
term.
but it was intricate violence.
No, I
Okay,
know, but
Brian.
just
Yeah,
I would have
okay,
put that on
yeah.
a T-shirt.
Intricate violence.
Violence. It's the name
But
of
it
my book.
was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We can make that into a shirt.
We will.
Yeah.
Anyway, intricate violence in okay. So seppuku. Yeah. Not a great way to go. And like a lot of memoirs and shit like you've probably read, a lot of times would start it and then just not be able to follow through. And it became like a fucking, oh shit, this guy's bleeding out. Like there's nothing you can do. You know, shit. That's why, you know, in this film, they've got the guy with the katana. Okay, if it's not going well, done. Dunsky. You know, and that was the more honorable way to do things. And the Japanese at this point they've got it instilled in them, most of them. You know? And it's like, that's a tough fucking enemy. Like, if they're willing to, okay, well, I either kill myself this way or my family will have dishonor. Well, I'm going to do this. Yeah, it's insane.
Even, you know, on that motive, a lot of soldiers, like the very famous one of that guy in the Philippines that surrendered in the late 70s. Or
It's
mid-70s.
74, yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
Oneida, or they just made a good movie that we'll get to.
Yeah, he's a
eventually.
lieutenant. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, you know, they didn't want to bring dishonor to the families, and the guys that didn't want to commit suicide, they just would live on the islands because that was better for their family to assume that they died, and they would just eventually go themselves in their own honorable way for what they saw as serving out whatever. There's stories into the late 80s in what was it, Vela La Vela, which is the island in the middle of the Solomons. It's very close to where JFK had his ship cut up, of people losing their clothes on clotheslines from Japanese soldiers stealing it. Like, there's even stories later than Oneida of existing. And it was these guys that were just like, well, I have no honor. I don't want to bring dishonor to my family, so I will just die in the woods. And there's one scene in the film that catches that because it's like, you know, we'd rather surrender and fight you another day.
And that's the thing is also the way they died were how the benefits would be paid to the family. Right? And so this film actually, that's why I said the first half I actually really enjoyed. I really did. Because it mentioned all that shit. Like, okay, this guy's a piece of shit. He fucked up, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But we want to make his death, quote unquote, accidental on paper so his family will continue to get paid, even though he's a piece of shit. Right? The guy that raped the guy. Okay. And then that was, you know, contested, whatever. But like the fact that they thought about that and they actually showed that in this film is a very interesting and very cool part that I really enjoyed, that they did mention. Because yes, the Japanese, here's the thing, is like a lot of the like Western people, like the Americans and the Brits and all that stuff who fought the Japanese, these guys are just savages and just like, whatever, they're just fucking whatever. There's a lot more layers to break apart to figure out and understand what the Japanese soldier in person at that time was thinking. Now, they had a government, albeit shaky, whatever for our definition now, but they still did. So their government also paid out for their soldiers to their families if they were to be killed in combat or accidental, whatever, all that stuff. There was still that kind of scale, that pay scale in this, you know, barbaric, whatever government system that was there. And that's why I really liked the fact that they showed that in this film. Like, okay, this guy could be labeled as what he was, a criminal, and his family gets nothing. But these guys knew him, and they're like, yeah, he's going to die anyway. But his family doesn't deserve that, so we'll just label it as this. That was really cool.
It was very interesting to see that. And on top of that one line, there's very period culture aspects. There was one line I liked, but it was too early because it was 42. It would be perfect if it was 44. But one of the guys says, like, oh, well, this family can use the money because they're starving at home anyway. And it's like, that is so correct for once the Japanese merchant fleet is destroyed in 2 years. But
you don't think that's correct for 42?
For spring of 42, way too early. It's way too early into Victory Disease. You're talking about Midway. You're talking about.
But they've been fighting in China, and they're also not doing well in 42.
But the Japanese economy was doing well. This is around the Doolittle raid. I mean, people weren't really affected because the thing is that as the losses in the Solomons start to occur, the Japanese have to pull more of their troops. Their merchant navy to support their army. So thus the economic situation starts to decline as the Solomon campaign ratchets up because you have less commerce. For example, they had to take so many troop ships away. They take so many liners away from supplying the economy that 12% of the steel imports steel imports dropped 12% over 3 months in 1942, and they kept getting worse and worse because they have to use their shipping because it's an island nation for troops instead of their economy. So that was the sliding scale. As they geared up for war, their economy went down. So it was this inverse effect. So 42, spring or even fall is too early to have families that are starving in Japan. It really wasn't until the fall of 43 and later on we got back.
Yep.
But a cultural statement for them to say that is really cool.
Well, I was just going to say that out of everything in the movie, this stuff right here, what we're talking about right now, is the stuff that I did find the most interesting. Was when we're talking.
It was very cool.
Right, yeah. It's like, this is stuff that you never see with war films. It's like Japanese home front type stuff being mentioned. Letters from Iwo Jima is the only other one I can think of that I've seen it.
But that's very surface level. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it is. But the one I can think of, in terms of like motives and such like that with the Japanese, and it's really cool to think about, to hear that and such. That stuff was interesting. I wish it was more about that, honestly.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, exactly. Brian?
There's one we'll get to that's really good and really crazy. It's a Japanese film from the late 50s or 60s called Fires on the Plain. And it's about Japanese troops who are in the Battle of Leyte in 1944. Fucked up. The movie starts with this guy wandering and he goes, I have tuberculosis. And all my men gave me their food to go to the hospital. But the hospital rejected me because they had no medicine. And he's walking back to his men. They have no food because they wanted him to live. It's so fucked up.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So speaking of that, one cool thing that I saw and heard in this film is, our rat, their bitch. I don't know if it was Lawrence or one of the other. It was the guy with the million stripes. I couldn't even tell the rank on his fucking.
Are you talking about like the colonel or no?
I think it was.
He was
Lawrence.
like a. No. He's talking about the Air Corps guy.
Because there was the New Zealand Air Corps or Australia. Because the guys with the black things on their.
Yeah, but how many fucking stripes?
It's listen, Australian.
I didn't know his rank. Nobody.
Australian
and
New Zealand navies, like when you get into like the not adjutants, like what subalterns or whatever. There's some really fucked up things.
But Brian,
generally
do you know his rank?
It could be a CMO or something.
Do you know his rank?
Like that.
I think it was a captain.
Mike, do you know his rank?
No.
Okay, nobody here that has watched it knows his fucking rank. He's above a lieutenant colonel. But nobody knows. And I think either intentional or not, it was supposed to be that way. Because, I've never seen that many fucking stripes. I don't know how to qualify the rank.
He could even be it wouldn't work for Java, but, they had protectorates in the Solomons and other places, Australia, New Zealand, and they would have local constabulary leaders that were in charge of certain areas. Like there was a leader
but this
on
guy was
Guadalcanal.
Air Force.
But what I'm saying is they had uniforms and they were commissioned into the military and they were given crazy ranks as like you're on the island of Gavutu and
but this guy's British. This guy's
I know, but
he's proper.
There was in this part of the war there was just a lot of crazy civilian organizations that were also military.
Is, in the film we don't know his rank.
Yep. Well,
nobody here knows his rank, and that's fine. But it's very interesting to he's got all these stripes on his fucking epaulets, right? Nobody knows his fucking rank.
So the other thing that's interesting too is that the movie is based off of a book called The Seed and the Sower.
Yes.
Which is a great name, by the way. And they actually mention it in the film. When they're like, the seed that he planted in. Which I personally think is a great name and term because it's so true. You know,
Yes.
every interaction with somebody like this, you're always going to imprint some of yourself in them or vice versa. But, you know, he was a Dutch guy in Java in the Dutch military. And this is his experience in Java, you know, in a Dutch POW camp. And obviously they changed it around to make it make sense. But maybe he could have been Dutch in the original book. I don't know, you know? Because even the Dutch guy they have that bites his tongue off, like, he's got crazy fucking rank as well, if you notice it. So, in a way, this movie and what's that fucking The East movie are connected.
His rank was GP Captain. At least that's what it says here in Wikipedia. It says Captain maybe. It's a spokesman GP Captain Hicksley. So I don't know if GP Captain is an actual separate
General purpose captain.
Maybe, yeah.
Captain General Purpose.
Yeah. That's the only thing I found on that. No, it trying to like, I guess, dive into more of, I guess, the latter half of just the randomness of some things. Like, I understand your comment, Brian, about like a user manual on the film and trying to understand like X, Y, and Z into things. Like, I totally understand, but at the same time, it just felt so. I understand why they put certain aspects into the film and certain styles into it. It's not really the style that I had a problem with, like you know, blue filters and all that kind of stuff. Like, that's very 1980s. It's just I wasn't following along with some of the disconnect on. I think what really pushed it for me was that I have this whole backstory to David Bowie's character that I don't think I really needed.
That whole.
It was a waste of fucking time.
Yeah.
It was like another like 20 minutes that I think like I understand why they did it, because he's sacrificing himself for the rest of the group because he didn't do that to his brother.
How is he relevant though? Like what purpose?
Well,
you know what I mean? Like besides the really quick, besides the like implied, oh, he's so important. What did he actually fucking do to deserve that sort of like, oh god, he's a hero treatment? You know what I mean? So go ahead.
He put his lips on another man. That's what he did.
Well, the movie is the movie's trying to do like this cool hand Luke thing with him. That just, I don't know if any of you guys have seen that movie.
I have. What do you? How is that?
Because it's like he's supposed to be kind of like the sacrificial hero that everyone looks up to. That, you know, he's doing things for the bulk of everyone else. You know, he's like this kind of sacrificial.
Yeah, but in Cool Hand Luke, like there was a story. Like you knew this guy and he had development.
Oh yeah,
he wasn't just thrown in there.
Oh yeah, it's a bad version of that. That's what I'm saying. Like they're trying to do the same kind of thing and it doesn't work. It's forced. Yeah. That's my point.
I'll just say one thing quickly, and then I'll hand off to Brian. I feel like if Mr. Lawrence had done David Bowie's character thing, then I think it'd be relevant to the actual story.
Correct.
But the fact that it's a whole other character and not Mr. Lawrence is what makes it feel like so disjointed for the rest of the film.
To build the character. Yep.
Yeah, Brian.
Culture. It comes back to culture, and at least at the time. And you could even say to today, Japanese culture, especially, you know, of the time, was individualism was beaten out of you. And it was all about serving the people,
collective,
serving the masses, the collective. The individual doesn't matter, but the collective matters, you know, which is completely the inverse idea of the West. So, in a way, you know, David Bowie losing his, or we'll say Major Tom, or what the fuck we said earlier, losing his, you know, individualism is a way of him showing he's transcending his culture, you know, because like the three main things of this movie are love, death, and desire. You know, like, who do we love? We're all gonna die, and desire. And some points in those three, you know, themes, we have a decision to make, and we within our culture and everything else. But I just think
how was his character ever given a chance to even come close to arcing?
Who, Bowie?
Yeah. It didn't.
Well, no, by giving himself up for some stupid reason.
Well, for what? So what importance did he have besides the fact that the Japs thought that he was some kind of like boogeyman or some shit like that? Besides that, like the implied ideals and like the characteristics, I guess, what did he actually serve? He got food one time, but it's all implied. You know what I mean? Like it's not like his character. I think he got fucked in this role. Let's just say that, because I don't think his character was allowed to evolve into anything. It was just this thing that he was there, but there was nothing to it, unless I missed something hardcore.
He's a plot device, just like Sergeant or the Cooler King is in The Great Escape. All Steve McQueen does is show up.
Yeah, but he actually went out and did
stuff.
shit.
But in the same vein, though, you know what I mean? And remember,
right,
we have to bring this back to the culture. Japanese culture is very subtle, especially their filmmaking, and especially at this time. Things happen slowly. Fast things happen slow where we are. So
what is the purpose? What is the purpose of David Bowie? What is the purpose of his character?
A plot device.
Plot device. How would
show,
the movie? Okay,
to poke fun at Japanese culture whenever they can. Lawrence is just the translator.
Really quick,
also
Nate,
the main
I just want to
character.
ask Brian a question, and it's totally legit. If Bowie's character was not in this film, would it have been any different?
Yes, because it wouldn't work. Because Sergeant or Yoni and Lieutenant Yoni and Major Tom Bowie are the same character but different, and Hera and Lawrence are just witnesses to what's happening. The guy that wrote the book, Seed and the Sower, wrote it in the third person, and he wrote it about himself. Lawrence is the main character from the original film, and the original book. And the way this is made, Lawrence is kind of the main character, but he's telling it in the third person through Major Tom. So I know this is convoluted, but you have two pairs here. You have Hera and Lawrence, then you have Bowie and Yoni. And without Bowie, then Yoni doesn't work. Without Yoni, Bowie doesn't work. So that's the thing. There's these two people that are in a bad situation that are surviving. Yoni and Hera, Lawrence and Hera, and then you have both sides protagonists or antagonists that you can explore and move the plot forward with. Because at the end of the day, it starts with Lawrence and Hera, and it ends with Lawrence and Hera. But in the inverse relationship of captor, captee, but it's changed. The only thing that's different is that Yoni and Bowie both show up along the way and influence the course of events by having this amazing sexual tension.
Yeah, it's a little strange, but okay.
There was this great comment I saw on YouTube, just randomly, break the tension. It was like, yeah, I'd also do that if David Bowie kissed me as well. The guy's fucking like laughed.
So without those two characters, the film would still be pretty much the same.
No, it would just be a POW camp drama. You wouldn't have any of this culture clash because it's just people in a bad situation. Before Bowie shows up, it's just a POW camp with stuff happening. And then Bowie shows up and he throws this whole rigmarole into the thing because whatever reason, he's stronger than the other ones. He's different. One Japanese pop star wants to fuck the other pop star. I don't know. On top of everything as well, we have to remember this is 1983. What's happening in the world?
Sure. Yeah.
Like there's other narratives and things that are occurring.
Reaganomics.
Well, the scene where Yonai is running a black market where he's selling all the Red Cross parcels in the back, that was left out. But that was the real Reaganomics, trickle down.
I guess what I'm asking, Brian, is like, take those two characters out, and I think the film would have still been the film.
Well, the film just would have been a POW drama.
Which it was.
Yes, it was, but those two characters throw. I know what you mean. Yes, it would have been a version of Stalag 17, something like that.
And it still was, even with those characters, because the arc for those two characters was completely reliant on those two and the rest of the I guess the set, the everything, the plot went on regardless. So that's my question, is like, if those two characters were out of this movie, would it have been relatively the same? And in my opinion, yes. And you say no. That's what I'm trying to get at.
It's a hard question anyway, because it's like a what if question. What if they attacked on the 5th instead of the 6th?
No.
They've lost the fleet.
I guess that's not what I'm getting at. Is like,
No,
I didn't think either of those two characters put enough into the film and into the plot and the story to make a difference. Like that's just the thing. Like, it's my opinion. Like, because, okay, so David Bowie's character, right? Sarge or Major S, really didn't do anything. So he scared a couple of the guys to maybe be superstitious, whatever. Maybe. But then, like, that's it. It wasn't like this. I expected him to be doing more, to like kind of be like superfluous, like, okay, yeah, I'm doing this, I'm sneaking out, I'm getting these supplies. He got the food, yeah, but like, that's it. And so he was just kind of thrown in there as another dude that didn't really make a difference.
I can't.
Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
I can't really. I wasn't paying too much attention to on the whole thing to comment on this. That's why I've been. Because it's just like, I don't really quite remember that much. I was just after the halfway point, I was just kind of like, all right, is this over yet? You know,
right? Exactly. Yeah.
By the way, I'm only going to be nitpicky for this one region. It's Major C, not Major S, Mike.
It's Major Tom.
Yeah.
In the subtitles, it was S.
Oh, because in my subtitles it was CELLIERS.
Okay, so Major.
Just call him David Bowie.
Yeah.
And making David Bowie a major is not based off that song at all. And making the main character Lawrence, it's not based off the fact that, Lawrence of Arabia is a great movie. Just gonna say that.
It actually is. Yeah. Very
amazing.
slow, but like, yeah, it's very fucking good.
I just, like, again, just not to dive so far into it. It's just I could see what this movie was trying to do. I could see why casting chose David Bowie in a certain sense, because,
well, explain it then.
Brian had chimed on earlier. Like, he does play like the guy who's a little psychotic and a little wacky, and the wild card
who doesn't do shit. Yeah. The wild card doesn't do shit.
It doesn't help that his eyes, the whole story plot line, and not whether he does shit or not, but like the story plot line for Bowie is to be like, I think, like, to mix it up and to, be the wrench, as you guys were saying, a part of it. I was keeping up with most of what you guys were saying. And I think apart from that, I think you do see some kind of character development where, he is very much on himself, and at the end he's going, I think what Brian is saying in the sense of, individualism to being part, sacrificing himself for the greater good, for the it's better for him to go out for these guys, because he saves the captain and the rest of the guys coming out of the hospital. That's why they hang on that thing. But I think that's where the development is. I think it's very subtle, and I don't think it's good enough, but I think there is a development in there and a thing.
Well, it's because I looked up a little bit about this. Apparently, the reason why David Bowie is in the movie is because the director was impressed with his performance in the Elephant Man play.
There we go.
Yeah, so he I guess David Bowie was in the Broadway production of the Elephant Man, where he played John Merrick. So, whose actual name was Joseph Merrick. But anyway, I guess that's why he's in the movie.
Dude,
yeah.
So yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because it seems to me, again, I'm not taking away from anything David Bowie did performance-wise. Okay, actor, good at what he does. I think he was thrown into this film because, and his character doesn't do anything.
So it's the character for you that just that throws a wrench in the thing.
What does he do? Like, honestly, I'm asking a question. Like, what does he do besides getting the flowers and
Yeah.
the food the one time.
I'd have to watch.
What does he do?
I'd have to watch the movie again, honestly, to give you a straight answer because
Well, there you
yeah,
go.
I can't give you a definitive answer right now because I was mostly focused on the Japanese stuff, and yeah.
But so Nate and Brian, what did David Bowie's character do?
Plot. If you're talking about like,
He was the cultural plot device.
yeah,
No, but
yeah, I
like,
was
what
gonna
did
say
he
that.
actually do to like push the plot forward?
You're talking like physically, like as a character, push the plot.
He
forward.
stopped the cultural aspect with the Japanese were starving them because they thought that there was a lack of morale in their way. That's the food thing. Again, he just came in at points to push the plot along where the culture got in the way. Because beforehand, it's the POW camp with everything happening, and then David Bowie shows up, and that's when the relationship happens.
But that's it, though. Like that's it.
Well, there's no tension besides the fact that they're in a POW camp without Bowie and you and I.
I mean, there's sexual tension, but yes.
So Nate, like what?
I the same thing with Brian. I say the same thing that
Yeah.
Brian said.
'Cause
I mean, it's a cultural. plot
I've
point.
seen a lot of things about the kiss and stuff, and they're like, that's the point where the cultures transcend because
Mhm.
Bowie uses his culture to disarm, Yonai, and Yonai uses the Western culture of not reacting against his lover. So in that scene, whatever you want to say about it, they accept each other for who they are.
Yeah.
That's humanity happening, as fucked up as that is.
But how does that affect the outcome of any other character in this film?
Well, there's events happening in a POW camp. And to bring it back to the original narrative, it's a guy reminiscing about what he saw around him.
Right.
And happening.
Absolutely.
You
Yeah.
That's just, and it's just, again, Hera and Lawrence are the real people. Everybody else is just people that happen to be happening and occurring,
I guess that the thing that it was like, okay, if you're gonna make a character like, you got somebody like David Bowie, right? Why would it not be more important and relevant to the plot of the film? Or are you just for the sake of putting this person in here? That's kind of like my point. There
might have been
go ahead, Mike.
There might have been some of that. I just saw it as more of like the defiant, like I say, cool hand Luke kind of character that everyone looks up to. I just saw it as that. And that
rebel.
Yeah, exactly. Great connection.
No, boss. Nope. No, I'm right, boss.
At the very end, he heroically sacrifices himself so that other guy doesn't get killed. By kissing this dude. So that's just what I saw him as. Is like the heroic guy that people love because he's defiant kind of.
I mean,
thing.
why wouldn't you kiss him? He had more eyeliner than most goth kids in the early 2000s.
Well, did you see the fucking eyeliner on Yonai in the beginning?
That's what I mean.
Yeah,
that's what I mean. Yeah.
He looked like he had foundation on too, dude. Like not just
he did.
Yeah.
A little line. And while we're here, I will say this: I really did like the setting and the sets and the uniforms. Besides crazy fucking early war rank, I have nothing bad to say. The Japs look great. The settings look great, and the tents look fucked up. But they built a fucking POW camp in the middle of a field. I mean, what are you gonna say about that?
With a greenhouse, I thought it was pretty cool that when Tagashi smashed the whole entire greenhouse pane, he cut himself.
Yeah,
you can see he's cut after that take because he smashed the glass so hard. I really liked. I wasn't a fan of the captain, Japanese captain. I wasn't a big fan of his performance, but I loved Tagashi's performance in that whole thing. I thought that had more. Maybe it's the English. Maybe it's for the most of the film that he spoke only in Japanese. So I wasn't but with the captain speaking English, it just felt really, really hard for me to be like, oh, that's a guy. But then also it kind of felt like it's a guy speaking a secondhand language. So it's also that.
In my opinion, it was done very well.
Really? Okay.
For a Japanese person to speak English, very difficult, and vice versa.
Say
if
lollipop.
Lollipop on how a native Japanese speaker would speak English, and it's difficult.
Yeah, no, it's 100%. And I'll just say this: like, I would prefer the performance of someone who is not native speaking English to do a role like this.
Yes.
So don't get me wrong. I'm not downplaying. It's just like because then you compare it to Unbroken, where that guy speaks fluent English.
Yeah.
Like like that.
Well,
that's what I mean.
some of
Like,
them did.
yeah. No, some
Very-
of them did. No,
Very few and far between, but yeah. So.
The funny
Yeah.
thing was that back then, a lot of times it depended on where you went to school. So
That's-
half
so
of them
it's
learned the American English, and the other half would learn like Australian or New Zealand or like Commonwealth English, and move a better term. So you would get Japanese people with like a mate in A and like a very English style, or you'd get the other adverse effect where like this guy was in Los Angeles for 3 years as a cab driver. So it's funny, even within the Japanese English speakers in the military, it varies like it does with any ESL kind of course.
Well, and at this point, a lot of Japanese officers from good families would have been educated in the United States, and they would have still had an accent, of course. But a lot of the officers, it was like kind of a cool thing. Like Brian said, like, oh, you go to New Zealand or you go to Australia or whatever for school, for college. And a lot of these, like if you read a lot of memoirs from U.S. soldiers or Commonwealth soldiers in the South Pacific in World War II, a lot of the officers, Japanese officers, they would come up to them and they would speak English in a way that was understandable. It wasn't like really super high accented. It was like, no, oh yeah, so hey, we have 300 men here. It's like you can understand it. It's like, shit, where'd you learn to speak English? Oh, I went to UCLA, and all that stuff. And you're like, okay, shit, and they would know the football teams and everything like that. And at this point, it's really weird because a lot of Japanese officers would know English, but not all of them, of course. And I like that in this film, they showed and represented a caliber of Japanese officers who knew basic English, which again is very hard. Again, if any one of us four were to learn Japanese, we would have a terrible accent. It's very tough. It's a very
Oh man.
Konnichiwa.
Mako.
arigato. Yeah. And so, but it's very tough. And but in this film, they had Japanese officers and people speaking English the best they could. If you were lucky enough to be in an allied person who spoke English and encounter somebody who was Japanese who could speak English, that's about as good as you're going to get.
Or it's 2 a.m. in September 1942, Guadalcanal. You die, Malene!
Right. Yeah. So that's the thing is like, I did like this film.
Roosevelt, eat shit!
Yeah.
And while we're at too, the other big thing was they would beat the their stocks, the rifles a lot too before they would do bonsais. Like, imagine a company of guys in the fucking jungle just, like, yeah, okay, we got another belt for that 30 cal. Like,
Yeah, you're fucked. I mean, like, you're like, oh, shit.
Where's that case of hand grenades? Around here somewhere.
Yeah, not here. It's on a boat out. Oh, wait, the boats are all sinking.
Oh, the TP's gone.
It's my favorite term from the canal. Where's the fucking Navy? Yeah.
They're at the bottom of the fucking ocean, my friend.
And then later on, the slogan turned to, where's the fucking army? So,
Well, they're going to land there and be good. The 25th will land there. It'll be good.
yeah, right?
But yeah.
164th Marines.
That was pretty cool, though, like in this film, is they also weren't making a mockery of it because it's a Japanese film. They weren't like making a mockery of Japanese people trying to speak English. I did appreciate that. It's like, because there's a way to do it to make it a mockery. You know what I mean? Oh, yeah, that hot, all this shit, the
Yeah,
buck
Billy
tooth
Lee.
Japanese guy, But no, it was very interesting in that respect. But again, the second half of the film just
Drags.
what are we
dude.
doing?
Like,
What are we
I
doing?
really don't need any the parts with David Bowie and his kid brother. Like, and
His hunchback
Yeah.
brother. Yeah.
it's Hunchback. He's just a child. Like, he's
No, he had like a maybe it was an optical illusion. I thought he was handicapped. Was he?
No.
it was just a
No.
child.
Okay.
Like,
I was looking
I
for
phased
it.
out. I phased out. At the I said something about him being hunchback.
I didn't know what they were doing with that. I was like, he's supposed to be deformed or something. Like,
Sing, loser, sing.
The best shot of the whole movie, though, is in that sequence, in my opinion, where the kids are here and doing, fucking up the brother, and then David Bowie's on the stairway.
Mm.
I love how that's shot.
I did like
that.
that.
That's the best
It
shot.
is,
in the film, in my opinion.
that's
it's a bad scene, but that's very well done.
Yeah, the scene though is just that was one of those moments where I was hitting the forward button a little bit. It was just like once it was like once the kid was like, oh, I'm like, I don't need to watch 10 minutes of this kid singing. Okay, like,
dude. Hey, I'll just say this: you guys found a link. By the time you guys had passed the link, I had already paid $3 for this.
I did too.
So,
no, I couldn't find it
because I did on YouTube, and I was like, great, it's on YouTube, no subtitles, but they're burned in Spanish, and YouTube is trying to auto-generate what Japanese is in English by the way
That's
it
why
sounds. So when it said "My daddy loves to lick my balls," I went, nope, that's not right, and I turned it off and bought it on Amazon.
I don't know. Maybe it is right, Nate. Who knows?
Yeah.
We're talking about cultures here.
So
So
I should have sent that link earlier, is what you were saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
To quote one of GTA's best creations, Princess Robot Bubblegum, their anime series. We're running out of money for dubbing.
All right. Well, yeah. I guess I'll share links. Earlier.
So I had a very eventful time in the morning trying to get it to work, and I gave up and spent $3 ducks.
Three
Fuck,
ducks.
I almost said ducks.
Yeah.
I did say ducks, but it was
fuck?
Go ahead.
It's funny though, like after I paid for it, whatever, and then I found out on YouTube, I was annoyed. But after finding out all this information and stuff, I want to watch this movie in 6 months. I know it's going to be similar to what I watch now, but I don't know.
You can do that.
I will, yeah, but it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just, I feel like this film definitely needs at least a rewatch if you're into like, art house stuff, whatever. But there's just so much going on that if you have the user manual, it's like, oh, Appendix B, just to like get the full experience. But I don't know. It's definitely an interesting film. And to add something on top of that, I just finished an amazing memoir called Thunder on Baton about the American Filipino tank units in the Filipino campaign. Really great. It talks about their inception, them fighting in combat in 41 and 42, and then their hellish experiences at Camp O'Donnell and all the other POW camps on Luzon, the Philippines, and Japan. So I know what they're trying to do with this movie, and especially after having the user manual, and like researching it and stuff. But literally reading stories about the Bataan Death March and guys dying in hell ships and all these horrible things, Mukden in Japan, and like with the American National Guard guys from this book, and then watching this movie, it's like a POW camp in the Second World War, a Japanese POW camp in the Second World War is not a place to have a cultural discussion. Like stories about a fucking American sailor had a fucking tattoo on his arm, an American flag, and Japanese soldiers cut a fucking arm off. I mean, the real brutality of these people in these situations is way, 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 way worse and almost unimaginable to what is presented on screen here.
Yeah.
And again, it's a film, whatever you want to say, it's a film that's using a situation as set dressing to talk about cultural experiences. I get that. But personally, reading about hell ships this week and watching this movie like the same day, it's like, yeah,
the real war will never make it outside of what it was.
No, but it's like, watch The Great Raid. That's such a good movie. They touch a lot on how bad the Japanese were, the 10-man rule and everything. And like, this is like just such again, it's a cultural, discussion, whatever, but it's such an abstract of the reality that it's like, just watch it and don't think about it.
I agree with you on all that. In terms of definitely just like, yeah, don't use this as a moral gauge compass to like how the Pacific War really was.
And I have heard about this film a lot from a lot of different people over the years. Like, not a film that's like, I just watched this and you should watch this. it's like every few years it'll be like, this is the best movie ever. Haven't you seen it? It's so amazing. It's got David Bowie in it. And it's like, oh, and then it goes away, and then it will pop up. And so I was expecting a lot more out of this. Like, kind of like how the Siege of Firebase Gloria has this cult following for some fucking reason. And it's like just 2 hours of like bad one-liners and like fucking head steak Viet Cong. Like, I don't even know. And it's like, again, like, why does this film have such a crazy reputation? And even if you look online, like what people are saying, almost done, with shit, it's like,
You can go, Nate.
people have such visceral reactions to this, and it's like, oh my god, the director is a fucking genius because he was able to disarm. And it's like, again, this is just it's all over the fucking place. It's like, it's such an abstract idea what's trying to happen. It's so far out there, it's hard to understand, even if you know the narrative. Like, it's just very fucked up.
The only thing I was going to say was we've even had a few comments recently asking for this movie.
Really?
Yeah.
Mm.
And I can't remember who it was, but they were like, I've seen like 2 or 3 comments in the last like 6 months asking us to do this film. So it has a cult following.
Now you fucking have it.
Yeah.
You happy now?
Somebody commented for a Halloween thing of this is their Halloween costume. If they could have it, would be what do you call it, Lieutenant Yonai's, which I agree with. I love the Japanese officer uniform. Don't get me. We have a friend of ours who has an amazing impression for a Japanese officer, and it's hot as fuck. Like, even the fucking sword, the leather sword cover and everything. Like, oh yeah,
I'd kiss him.
I'd kiss Matt. Yeah, sorry, Matt, if you're listening to this. Yeah. But like, well, I just watched this movie, so it's changing me. But but as far as that's saying, I mean, Matt, when you get out of your car on Friday to the event, not like Sunday sloppy fucking.
Yeah.
Well, what I was gonna say in terms of what Brian was talking about with that and what like you just said, Nate. When I was watching this movie, I said to myself, this is probably a movie that previous generations love. Like, I can see this being one of those movies to where like guys in their 50s like fucking love this movie. Like it seems like one of those. And I'm just like, yeah, I guess I should have been alive back then. I should be British or something. I don't know.
No, you don't.
But but it seemed to me as I was watching, like, this seems like one of those movies that a lot of people like, but I'm just a little bored by it.
It's like The Big Lebowski. No, it's a joke, asshole. I'm not saying it's like not even close. It's a joke.
I'd say it's more like Brokeback Mountain.
That's Brian and Mike both give me looks. It's just a joke.
Yeah.
The point is, the point is, dude.
Brokeback Mountain and this movie have a lot of similar motives. I'm just saying.
Brokeback Mr. Lawrence. Yeah.
Brokeback Seppuku.
Mike, you have to go. God damn it!
God damn it!
Is there Ralphs around here?
Yeah, is there Ralphs around here?
Do we want to jump into IMFDB?
Let's do it.
I got
sticker trivia.
Sticker trivia, one other thing, and we'll jump into that. So,
Okay.
yeah, just to jump off that, I really feel like people will remember this movie because of the casting. Because it's got Bowie in it, who's an amazing musician. And if you like Bowie, and like for anybody that likes any, musician or actor, you want to watch all their stuff. So because Bowie's so popular, along the way, people that are Bowie fans are obviously going to watch this.
Also, he's good in this. Like, his acting is really good, and like that's why I'm pissed, because they could have taken that character and made more of it, because he did a good job.
When he's in the courtroom and he's got that like 1,000-yard death stare,
Yeah.
I was
Yes.
like, this is
Fuck yeah.
this is fucking glam rock guy.
Mhm.
Like, and I love music. I respect Bowie for all of it. I mean, I'm knocking it all, but it's like, wow, like respect. Like, seriously, like if you could, if he was put in like a little different role, like like actual combat, like commando film like this, I think he would be really good.
Well, yeah, because they're
I
like, "What's your name?" And he's like, "I've already fucking answered that a million times."
Yeah, right.
I've never seen him
And,
I've
like-
only seen him in a handful of movies. I've never seen him give a bad performance though.
Yeah,
Anything.
No,
It's
very
not at all.
consistent.
And like, it was really good. That's again why I bitched about his whole role in this. It's like, you fucking had an opportunity, and you just the character was fucked. It was just it was constrained, very much constrained.
One dimensioned, I think, is what you're trying to say.
No, it's
No?
not one dimension. It's just he was there.
Mm-hmm.
He could play the fucking part, but it was just fucking. It was constrained. because they didn't want to make. I don't know. I don't know what the fuck the intention was, but like, yeah.
And vice versa, the other lead in a way, Lieutenant
Lawrence?
Yonai. Well,
Yonai. Yeah.
I said in a way, he
Yep.
is I'm gonna fuck this up. Ryuichi Sakamoto, who is he was a famous keyboardist originally in this orchestra group, but he also became solo artist, and he's fucking huge. He's just as big as Bowie was in Japan, and he passed away this year. He was 76, and and he also did the soundtrack for the film, which I have to say I love the soundtrack. I really do like it.
It's very, very early 80s.
It reminds me of Gallipoli, but instead of Gallipoli, it works.
Right.
This works,
Right.
because it's like even like this the instrumental. Like I liked it.
It's not overdone.
No,
not
it's
overdone.
enough.
Yeah. Yep.
I will say it's not overpowering. As an editor, the fading of the music makes me cringe. The delivery of it sucks. As an editor, it sucks. But I thought the tune was catchy and in period for early 80s, and I didn't hate it. Gallipoli is so overly blown loud that you can't hear anything going on. And it's just random. At least this had different themes, different tones with the same kind of feel, but it was the editing of the music that was getting annoying with the music was my only complaint with that.
For people that are music nerds, the band that Sakamoto was in while he was in this Yellow Magic Orchestra was very similar to like Kraftwerk's music. Like late 70s electronic and everything. It's almost like an Asian version of that. Like softer tones, but you still have synths and stuff. And it just makes sense. Like I totally be like, oh, that guy made this.
Another Axis power band. Yeah.
And on that note, we have this week's sticker trivia. So the most famous Second World War Japanese POW film has to be Bridge on the River Kwai. The Bridge on the River Kwai existed. The River Kwai existed. But what country does the bridge in the river reside in? The first person to let me know what country the Bridge on the River Kwai was over gets a sticker this week.
By the way, the movie that Nate was talking about earlier, the Kiefer Sutherland movie, is called To End All Wars.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the movie.
The Queefer Sutherland movie?
Yeah. Reefer Sutherland.
There's another one that was one of our followers recommended to us that we have to watch. I have to get the name of it, but it's a POW film with oh god, it's got somebody really famous. I have to look it up. I don't want to fuck it up, but
What the fuck are you talking about? I'm gonna do it.
Give me
back.
2.
Yeah.
Give me 2 seconds. I'll let you know. But anyway, let's go to IMFDB.
Luckily, there are only 3 goddamn things.
Mike's got some spice tonight.
I'm angry. No.
It's called Farewell to the King. It's got Nick Nolte in it, and it's from 1989.
Oh,
And
Nick Nolte.
this is like Donald Trump in his next fucking election poster.
Yeah, I looked up the trailer. It's very interesting.
Do you just compare David Bowie to Donald Trump here?
Well, I mean, let's be honest
He
here.
does look like Orange
If this
Man.
was Donald Trump's next poster for 2024, would you like be upset? You'd be like, "That's fucking cool, right?"
It's good artwork, yeah. I like the style.
Right. So it's like
There are a million posters for this movie, by the way. Some really insane Japanese ones.
Oh yeah,
Like, I think I sent you guys one of the crazier ones I found the other night.
Yeah.
yeah. It's fucking awesome. Like again, it's not a bad film at all. Like it's
It's an interesting
Again,
film.
It's just
With-
weird.
I love the first half.
It's got a lot of intricate violence in it. So,
Yeah.
Let's do this thing.
God, white gloves and palm trees, they go so well together, don't they?
The Type 38.
White dude. Boom.
They had whites in the Japanese military.
Historically incorrect white guy. Yeah.
There was a whole brigade of white Russians that fought in the Japanese military.
Oh my god, he is.
Yeah.
Also, their fucking putties are not wrapped correctly, by the way.
That's an art.
No, but at least they have them. I've seen some films that don't even have
They
them.
don't have they don't have the X's around them because they have the last loop that you go
Right.
over.
They didn't
Yeah.
they didn't fuck around with the fucking
Yeah.
Yeah.
The field gear looks right though.
Yes.
It's funny. Japanese soldiers in films are a mixed bag. I also do love how like they're sweating at points, but their pockets are are fine, which is again what happens because it's
Right.
it's how it works out.
Yeah. They're sweating profusely and then.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, so the Type 38, yep.
Oh, I love
The Type
these.
92,
The woodpecker.
the fucking woodpecker, yep.
Very cool.
That was really cool to see that. Then there is a guy with like an LMG.
There's a guy with a Type 99. It's the next thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's just standing up, and I'm like, that must have been a prop because there's no fucking way this guy's just gonna sit
Hold
there.
it that whole
Nate
entire
just walks
time.
up to him
Right.
and goes, "Do you know what that mag costs?"
A lot.
More than the gun.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's another part of like this is the second half of the film. So they set up the Type 92, the machine gun, right? And you're like, okay, it's gonna be like a Great Escape. Like they're gonna just fucking execute them all. What the fuck happens out of this scene? Nothing.
Is this the scene where David
So-
Bowie kisses the guy?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so
And it's like, so what the fuck were you planning on doing versus what didn't happen? Like, it just.
I don't know.
it's
The
so fucking
officer just got
stupid.
pissed off and he said, "Everyone get out here." And then the
Yeah.
patients in the hospital came out and he was like, "You're not actually sick."
You're faking it. You're not sick.
I'm
Yeah.
just like, will someone just shoot this guy? Like, I can't take this.
That was again a cultural thing that I did like when they were like everyone outside now, and then this isn't everybody. Again, it's just like very literal things, that are differences.
Well, he's also being an asshole.
Oh,
at that
he
point.
is,
And
but-
he knows that.
But that's
Yeah.
this isn't everyone.
Mm-hmm.
How much do you play into the words, And again, it just
No, and that didn't like piss me off at all. I'm like, yeah, if he wanted to be an asshole and it was culturally like, no, not everybody's here. Get them the fuck out here. That's reasonable. I mean, not, you know what I'm saying. It's not reasonable in the real thing, but like in his mind, yeah. No, not everybody's here. Get them here now.
Yep.
And the
So,
guy
yeah.
dies coming out. Like,
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, Type 99.
oh,
That
this looks so
99.
fucking cool.
Fucking awesome machine.
It's an
that a-
Asian Bren.
Is that a box of ammo down by his feet?
yeah.
Yeah. Japanese had wooden crates like that. Similar to the Soviet crates.
Wouldn't it also be kind of similar to like the Italian Beretta 37 crates where it's like because they ran on wood, well, not the Type 99 but the woodpecker, the one we just saw.
And they came
yeah.
in cardboard. No, they came in like not paper, but it was like some type of pressed paper material, and they had a sleeve on them that was 3/4 and then 1/4. And what you do is you take off the 1/4 and put it into the gun. So most of your rounds are covered by a paper sleeve, and when you have to get into action, you take that off. So that's how you go.
Sorry. The way you were
So-
describing, I thought the magazine was made out of like fucking paper mache, and I was gonna be
No.
like, that would be really bad.
The feed strip has a cover on it, unlike Hotchkiss or the other ones, and it's made in a way
Okay.
where you can just take part of it off, and the part that goes into the gun is there, and the rest of it's covered by paper. So you can
Also, it
just-
had to be oiled. The rounds had to be oiled.
I think I made Michael laugh.
Sorry,
a
I
little
just
bit
had the
too
thought of
hard.
the paper mache. It's like, yeah, that. Sorry, Brian, but just the thought of that, like, the Japanese are just they're using
in the
paper.
jungle with rain.
Yeah,
it just
it's
falls
just like
apart.
the gun's just like chewing this up like it's nothing.
Yeah, the Hotchkiss has an internal oiler just like the Type 92 because they're based off the same, and it's on top. It's that really big knob you see in all the photos. and
yeah.
it holds like a shit ton of oil. So
Never enough, though.
no, it's never enough. But they were known for lubricating really well. Like I don't really hear a lot of stories about them jamming a lot. They were very, and again, they're so heavy. You keep them in one position, you keep them clean. I mean, you're really not going to have a problem. The only thing that Japanese soldiers complain about those particularly is that they're very complicated because the Hotchkiss have a lot of moving parts, But it's the best version of the Hotchkiss. So
Heavy as crap.
Cool. Well, I think we have made it to final thoughts. Dun dun dun.
I'm glad you're using a pen and not that squeaky ass marker you used last week.
Oh, where is it?
Oh my! Don't.
Uh,
God, that thing screwed me so many times.
I have a squeakier one.
Because you do this thing where you talk and you also cross it out because you're going through your thoughts and it goes like you're like, yeah, and this important thought I'm gonna say while I squeak.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Oh God! Ah. Ah. Don't like that. I'm not an ASMR man.
You're not a fan of ASMR? What's wrong with you?
Oni-chan.
No, it's not my kink.
I'd fuck me.
Yeah.
I'd fuck me. I'd fuck me hard.
Do you feel satiated?
I must now consume your soul in order to become a real boy.
I hate it how you got the breathe in and the breathe out.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. But it's fucked. It's amazing, but it's fucked.
You're a great big fat person.
She a great big fat person.
That's my favorite line of his.
Yeah. No, dude, he did. And then, like in Shutter Island, like nobody really knows. I know you guys do, but like he's like, yeah, I don't know anything about that. Oh, I think you do. And I'm like, yeah, it's Buffalo Bill.
Yep. Ted Levine. That's the actor's name.
Would you
Yeah.
fuck me? I'd fuck me so hard.
And fuck me.
Fuck me.
And fuck me hard. Fuck me so hard.
It's 2 a.m. in Mike's bedroom tonight. And he just walks in fully naked with a Japanese cap on, and he just goes, "Merry Christmas."
Today, you will become a real boy. Yeah, not good. Not good. No.
We should just conclude the podcast with this.
Yeah. You'll become a real boy. I can't do it. All right.
So,
It's just
who wants to go first? Michael, you brought us into this. Let's break
All
us
right.
out of it.
So, yeah, this movie has some interesting things in it. It has some unique things I've never seen. You know, some touched on some stuff, but my God, is it pretty boring at times, and I just wanted it to move along in certain cases. And there was a lot of things on it that the movie was really heavily focused on that I didn't really care about. You know, I wish it focused on some other stuff. That's just me personally. What was that, Nate? I saw you make a thing. Like,
To focus on certain things.
No, Nate.
Oh yeah, sorry, docking. Yeah, sorry.
circle jerk.
Yeah, circle. I've never seen that before. That's great. That's amazing. I gotta add that to my repertoire now. That's amazing.
I don't care if the movie wants to explore homosexuality in a prison camp. I mean, I don't want to see it, but if they want to talk about that, like, fine, you know, whatever. If it's interesting, but I don't care about a lot of the stuff with, you know, the relationship with, you know, David Bowie and the Lawrence, you know, all that stuff, and then talking more about going into David Bowie's character, all the stuff with him back home and stuff. It's like I don't really care about that. I was more interested in the Japanese cultural aspect and how they operated and all that stuff, and how it played into the prison camp. You know, that I felt was more interesting, and I just didn't really like where the film was what the film was focused on. So I think I'm going to give it 5 out of 10. So I'll pass it on to Mike up there.
Yeah, it's again, the first half of this film was interesting because it was like, okay, yeah, it's the dichotomy of like the POWs and the Japanese who are tasked to oversee them, and you know, then David Bowie's character gets introduced, and it's like, what are we doing here? Again, I've said it a million times, but like in the final thoughts, it's like, where are we going with this story? And then, yeah, at the end, it's like, okay, so the sergeant and Lawrence, who were, you know, arguably the main characters of the film, they're together, and you know, whatever, he's in a cell, and it's like, it's like a lot of wasted fucking time saying something that is irrelevant to like what the story actually is. You know, it's like, okay, you get this one guy that's thrown in there, he's the wild card, but he doesn't ever do anything and whatever. Okay, so long story short, everything I've said, I'll give it a 6.2 out of 10 because it wasn't unwatchable. It's not like terrible. Like, again, for the first half of the film, I was like genuinely into it, and then it just fucking goes downhill. And it's fucking irritating. But yeah, 6.2. Brian.
Yeah, it's a mixed bag. It's a movie that tries to do too much. It's a movie that has very strange, very narrow goals, but they're so easily convoluted. It's like it's such an examination of cultures that so much is lost because of the difference in the cultures. And then you remove 40 years. So it's like, what the fuck is going on? And for a film that so many people talked about, it really did not live up to what the hype is, in my opinion.
Correct.
That being said, I do want to watch this again because now that I have done all the research, I want to get my time back. Now, it's like I see the meaning. I see what the attempt was here, but just it's very convoluted and it doesn't work. It just goes to show you that there's some really amazing art house films, but there's so many. What is going on? Like that. I think it's called Page of Pomegranates or whatever, that famous Soviet film. It's like that one is so fucked up and out there, but it's like one of the best art house films ever made. So it's just, I don't know. They're very strange. That being said, I'm going to give this a 4.5 out of 10. I think it's watchable. I don't think it's a good Christmas movie.
No.
Fucking
No, I didn't even think about it.
Harry
until-
Carey Christmas is not cool. I mean, I'd much rather fucking, watch anything from Charles Dickinson. But yeah, so 4.5. Mr. Nate.
Yeah, this one's hard for me to kind of give my final score on. I mean, like I see where the attempt is all throughout the film. I think it's a very interesting attempt on a time period and a scenario that doesn't really get much attention in the way that this film portrays it. And I mean that more of the sense of like the cultural aspect of mainly from the Japanese side. And I think, so far from what I've watched in my life, that's what I mean. But like I think it is very interesting, the stylistic choice and the way to go about such a thing. However, I suffered a lot from it just being a good 45 minutes too long for me. I think I understand what they were trying to do, and I understand the point of David Bowie's character and the whole reason why you put a plot, you put a whole backstory behind that. However, if you asked me, and I think I said at the top, it's like my main interest and actually my more engagement of the whole film was Mr. Lawrence and the Sergeant. I wanted to have more of that because I think the more of the kind of I think someone who was willing or who did not was willing to live and did not want to lose at all. He wanted to keep on going was Mr. Lawrence. And I think that's more pivotal than David Bowie's character in that sense to me. I also thought that the sergeant's kind of weird twist to the plot of him getting drunk and sparing them. I thought that was really unique and really interesting, and I really liked that thought to it. I think it also is just funny because just the dynamic and the way it is. It's like, Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence. It's like Christmas in the Pacific Theater movie. Like, okay, like, it's just like, it just was so out there. And like he's saying, I'm Father Christmas, I spared your life. I just thought that was really cool and endearing, and that moment really shined. It just, to me, it feels like it's kind of like that those interactions and what they're trying to end the film on. It just feels very almost like, oh, this also happened. And to me, I feel like David Bowie's whole arc tries to overshadow the whole thing. And to me, I'd rather have the opposite because it felt like that needed to be more of the emphasis. Maybe it was, but to me, and maybe it was trying to just get through the last 45 minutes of the film, that whole ending scene just felt very flat. And I feel like that should have been a more grandiose arc in that sense. But, in terms of the editing, I thought there's some very interesting shots. What Brian said, I thought the editing was okay for 1980s. The music's unique, but it's better than Gallipoli. And doing more research and having the research that Brian said about that being the captain guy's music and all that stuff, I hold the music a little higher now because of that, because there's more engagement with someone who's invested in the project, and I can respect that. But yeah, I mean, it very interesting points with the whole culture and the seppuku and all that stuff, but like, yeah, I'm gonna give it a little higher probably than everyone. Maybe tie with around Mike B's, but I think I'm gonna give it like a 6.5 Scream Mel Gibsons out of 10. There were just some things that I really liked about this. In terms of a Christmas movie, absolutely fucking not. But
Should have watched a Midnight Clear instead.
Yeah. Like this isn't. There's no online debate whether this is a Christmas movie or not. This isn't a Die Hard debate. This is absolutely not a Christmas movie. So but in terms of like the title, that's why we went with it. But no, I liked parts, and I think I share the same kind of feeling that Mike B had. Like I like parts, and Mike liked the beginning, so I think it just scores a little higher. But yeah, it's a weird, all over the place 1980s movie, and I can see where it is. But like Brian said, you need a manual to fucking understand what's going on. And if I need a manual, it's not going to score a high rank for me.
That being said, and putting all the scores in the computer that will tell us how many days in a Japanese POW camp will make you gay, we get the score. We get a score of 5.5 out of 10.
All right.
So it's a very middle of the road movie,
Yep.
I feel like it's worth a watch if you're into advanced war films. Like, if you want to put something on to watch something cool. Don't watch this. But if you want to watch something introspective that you want to spend 3 hours Googling after the fact, and this is a great mystery subject because
there's a whole genre of those, so
it's, if you want a movie and an afternoon of Googling, then this is the film for you. So,
There's really only one shooting scene, and that's the fake firing squad scene.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Which
is
also
fucked
it was
up.
like,
I was a little confused. Their way of depicting that was a little confusing.
Well, Merry Christmas, everybody. Hopefully you're not in a Japanese POW camp.
yeah, Merry Christmas. Well, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Scuttlebutt.
This is our last episode of the year, so we will catch you guys next year.
We're going to do some really cool movies next year. You might want to stay tuned for that because Stalingrad, this is not Mothergrad. This is not Fathergrad. This is Stalingrad.
Thanks for joining us. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to leave a rating. Otherwise, Mel Gibson won't stop screaming. If you like this content, make sure to check out our Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram pages. If you want to directly support our work, make sure to check out our Patreon. All these links are in the description below. Until the next time, Scuttlebutt out.
Oh. Ooh.
What's that?
That's what Sean and I do.
Oh, okay.
War Thunder. Yeah. We'll say like something stupid, like something like just like oh, I did this, and we'll just go, and we do it to Brian all the time. We just go, oh, oh.
So retarded.
It sounds like NPC
I love it.
sound bites.
Yeah, when Sean does it's so good though.
It's so funny when Sean does it. He just goes,
Hey, Sean, you're listening to this shit innately. Listen, you're a piece of shit. You need to be here. Go fuck yourself.
Sean would be the perfect cop from The Big Lebowski. Oh, separate incidents. Like fucking
Separate incidents.
That's fucking totally Sean. Like,
He'd have his little notepad out like,
oh. Yeah, like slide into this drama.
no, just the Creedence tapes, man.
Or the
Fucking
creeps. Or the black
don't
cop.
fuck with the Eagles, man. They were a
I've had a
nation.
really bad day, man, and I hate the fucking Eagles.
I am totally on board with him with that one.